years, that's when you can really see like incredible growth. So basically you can do less in your life than you think in a year, but more than you think in 4 years. So don't give up after just a year, or don't judge yourself on results after just a year, because a lot of times it's kind of exponential and it takes a little bit more time. So, I wrote a book, and then several years later I published 3 books in 1 year, just because it was like I figured out, and then it was much faster.
Yeah.
So I think other people can expect, that same learning curve and improvement over several years at a time.
Yeah, that's a great way to think about it, because you're right. That's, if you look at it in kind of the micro, it's hard to see the incremental progress you're making over just a small period of time. But if you're looking at it over, where was I 4 years ago that I am now, and how that works,
right,
you can definitely judge on a greater timeline how much progress you've made.
Yeah, and that's one thing I love for Facebook. If any listeners are on Facebook, that, on this day feature is fascinating to me. It's like, oh my gosh. And it just came up like, it was, let's see, what was it? Was it 6 years ago? I think it was 6 years ago that was that newspaper article I was telling you about, in the Daily Camera. And it was just like, oh my God, I can't believe it just happened in 6 years, It's kind of amazing. So I'm sure everyone listening has that in one way or another, and just to keep it in that perspective, because I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to do everything like now or tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and it's well, it's great that you actually post very nice things on your Facebook. Mine is especially from 6 years ago, is like just bad jokes that I thought were funny. So now when they pop up on my Facebook, I'm like, oh, that's what I thought was funny back then, like some random observation about pizza or something.
Right. Well, I think we were all figuring out Facebook at a different time or another too, and then you kind of figure out how you want to use it.
Yeah, that's true. I was definitely treating Facebook a lot differently in my mid-20s than I am now.
Yeah.
What would you say is the best advice you've ever received?
Oh my gosh, that's a big one. Well, I know there's many pieces of advice I've gotten that have been really, really helpful. There's a couple of things that I'll share. One is just the importance of being authentic to you, basically not doing things because you think that they'll make you successful or they're the right thing to do, or et cetera. Just, is it the right thing for you? Do you want to do it? Does this make you alive? And the other thing I'd share is just the importance of really paying attention to what you expose yourself to. And I mean that in terms of people, in terms of what you consume, what you see, what you hear, what you read, what you listen to, because you are constantly absorbing and taking in information and energy. And the question is, are you taking in what you want or where you want to be? And if you're not, then you probably want to adjust so that what you're receiving and taking in is either where you want to be or it's pointing you in that direction.
That's great. Profound. That's great.
Thanks.
So I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day to chat with me. If the listeners would like to hear more about what you're working on and see more what you're working on, what is the best way they can do that?
Sure. So I have a few different websites just because my work is so varied. So my psychic work is healingpowers.net. And that's healing, and then my last name Powers, POWERS.net. My coaching website is powershour.biz, and my creative website is laurapowers.net. And then I'm also on Twitter at that Laura Powers, Instagram at Laura Powers 44 if you want to get a visual on me, and then you can also find me on Facebook.
That's wonderful, and I will make sure I put all the links in the show notes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great. Well, again, thank you so much, Laura. I really appreciate your time. Thank you for chatting with me.
Most welcome.
Thank you. Have a good day. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Advance Your Art podcast. If you like this episode, please go into iTunes and give us a 5-star rating. And while you're there, hit the subscribe button so that every single time I release a new episode, it will go directly to you without even thinking about it. If you're interested in hearing older episodes, please go to advanceyourart.com where you can find the catalog of everything I've done so far, as well as contact information and projects I'm working on. Thank you again, and have a great day.